Right, so the fallout from Labour's attacks on Bangladesh and Bengali people, having come in the most appalling manner from both Keir Starmer himself and his shadow Paymaster General Jonathan Ashworth, has only continued to increase, with damage limitation attempted, though as always with Keir Starmer, he cannot bring himself to apologise for what he said. He never says sorry. When Bangladesh is not even amongst the top 10 of nations where we see migrants and asylum seekers come from, however, where did Starmer's claims about Bangladesh come from exactly? Why were they repeated by another shadow minister? Because surely that is not coincidence. And as it happens, there might at least be a couple of reasons why Starmer's Labour singled out Bengalis and Bengali communities out. And none of them are good.
Do you realise you caused offence, though, with those comments?
The reason I referenced Bangladesh the other night is because it is, for asylum purposes, a safe country, and it's got a returns agreement with the UK. That is a good thing that everybody should be proud of. I certainly wasn't intending...
And there are lots of higher countries. Why did you pick out that community?
It's a safe country, it's got a returns agreement, so it's an example of how our two countries can work together. But I certainly wasn't seeking to or intending to cause any concern or offence to anyone in that. I celebrate and value the relationship we have. And what I want to do is make sure that the Bangladeshi community here, under a Labour government, strengthen that relationship and we go forward together. And that's the debate I've been having in my constituency for many years, and it's what I want to do across the whole country.
Do you think you misspoke, though? Look, it caused a lot of offence.
I certainly wasn't intending to cause any concern or offence.
So this is a question for Sir Kier. Given your recent racist comments made against Bangladeshi migrants, how can we differentiate you with Nigel Farage and vote for Labour under your leadership?
What did he say, Ithaca?
He said currently Bangladeshi migrants are not being removed. Why would the Bangladeshi migrants would be removed?
Yeah, let me address that.
Have you apologised?
Well, look, I've recognised, I spent yesterday making it clear that I didn't intend to cause any upset or offence, and I'm genuinely concerned if that is the case, because, the Bangladeshi community in this country has made a huge contribution to our economy, to our culture and to our country. There are very strong bonds between the Labour Party and the Bangladeshi community, including between me and the Bangladeshi community, particularly in my constituency, so much so that the first country I visited as a Labour MP was Bangladesh, so that I could see for myself the homes. We went to Dhaka to start with, then Sylhet and Molvi Bazaar in Bangladesh, so I could see for myself, and was taken to the homes of my constituents.
So you were clumsy, but you didn't mean badly.
Clumsy would be a good word.
Right, so that was Keir Starmer clarifying his position in a couple of clips there over his awful comments singling out Bengali people here in the UK, questioning as to why they might be here, singling them out specifically. An awful racist attack that was followed up upon by his shadow Paymaster General Jonathan Ashworth, implying that this was not clumsiness, as Keir Starmer claimed. You don't get two people being clumsy over the same racist mantra. Besides, clarifying your position once again is not apologising, is not saying sorry for the hurt and fear your comments will have caused to people. Just repeating ad nauseum in several interviews now that he didn't mean to cause any offence, but not saying sorry, not saying those words for actually having done so. Keir Starmer never says sorry. But actually there may well be more to this, and there are at least two very valid reasons that I've come across to indicate that this may well have been an intentional targeting of Bengali communities in this country, which I'll come on to in a moment and let you see what you think. Firstly, he brought up that Bangladesh is a safe country there, and the UK has a returns agreement with Bangladesh. That agreement was put into place literally just last month by the Minister for Countering Illegal Migration, because of course the Tories created such a post back in 2019 as it happens. But the current Tory holding the post, Michael Tomlinson, signed this returns agreement with Bangladesh literally just 6 weeks ago. And let's face it, coming from a party, a government that considers Rwanda to be safe and has been talking about that for a damn sight longer, when it actually has proven on multiple occasions to be otherwise, not least demonstrated ably and amply to the UK Supreme Court, who ruled on this last November that it is not a safe country. Keir Starmer, citing that returns agreement that the Tories have only recently signed as proof that Bangladesh is safe, is akin to having come down in the last rain shower. Here is what Amnesty International has said about Bangladesh being a safe country in a statement from last year, well before the Tories brought this returns agreement into existence. The government intensified its crackdown on the rights to freedom of expression and peaceful assembly ahead of general elections scheduled for January 2024. Authorities used the powers in the Digital Security Act and other legislation to target journalists and human rights defenders, subjecting them to arbitrary detention and torture. There was a concerning increase in enforced disappearances and lack of accountability for deaths in custody. Occupational safety remained a distant dream for many workers. Refugees endured homelessness due to a fire in a camp and a cyclone, as well as food insecurity. Rations for refugees were restricted due to the UN's acute funding shortfall. Bangladesh remained extremely vulnerable to impacts of climate change. So it isn't a safe country really then, no matter what the Tories say, quelle surprise. But frankly, how many of us take the Tories' word for what is a safe country these days? Well, apparently Keir Starmer does. He was also directly compared to Nigel Farage for what he said by a member of the public, a Bengali on Radio 5 Live with Nicky Campbell, and was asked specifically, why would Bangladeshi migrants be removed? He was specifically asked by Campbell, have you apologised? And not only did he, of course, not answer the question, but also went on to not apologise to the caller, reiterating instead that he didn't intend to cause offence. Well, just say sorry then. Because otherwise it looks like you meant it and you're just trying to wriggle out of a tight media spot. Why do you never apologise for your actions? Labour's hierarchy of racism, as written about in the Ford report, not that they speak to Martin Ford at all, of course, which frankly, if you haven't looked into for yourself by now, I would urge you to do so now in light of everything coming out of Starmer's Labour, because the racist endeavour that is his Labour Party, that it very much is today, has already been written about, and 165 recommendations to fix matters were made by Ford, pointed out to Labour, and despite claims to have addressed most of those, Labour ignored Martin Ford, the author, still ignore him, and even threatened him with legal action when he spoke to the media. What media would speak to him because the mainstream media ignored him as well? Well, he spoke to Al Jazeera and got threatened for bringing Labour into disrepute himself for explaining his findings, complete with legal letter. That is not a party that is any more apologetic for its conduct than Starmer and Ashworth have been. I want to talk about the fallout, but first let's come to why Starmer's Labour have gone down this road, why they thought this was a good idea. Because it has nothing to do with that returns agreement at all. And in fact, a former Labour whistleblower, now standing as the Workers' Party of Britain candidate in the general election for Stratford and Bow, Halima Khan, has said at a recent hustings that from her experience working in the governance and legal unit of the Labour Party, the body, the unit that deals with all the suspensions and expulsions, the Purge, this was likely a calculated move by them in order to attract Reform UK voters. The Tories thinking of voting for Nigel Farage's outfit by essentially scapegoating an ethnic minority demographic, because according to Khan, Starmer painted a target on the Bengali community in the UK, a nation that should be noted isn't even in the top 10 of migrants who come to the UK, because although as a demographic they by default vote Labour, they are also a demographic amongst whom the more elderly members apparently struggle with English. And so according to Khan, the calculation here is that this is a demographic that Labour could afford to attack to appeal to racist voters without losing the vote of those they were attacking. That is, if true, and Khan worked within the party and still has contacts there, I see no reason not to believe her. She's literally on the outside of the party now, but was well within it once upon a time. I dare say not unhappily out of it now, but in part because she blew the whistle on what was happening inside the party. This is what she has heard. These are the allegations that have been put to her, and she has publicly repeated them. And frankly, it is believable, isn't it? There's another possibility, though, and again, this comes back to the Israel lobby, who basically own Keir Starmer's backside and have a hugely pervasive influence within the Labour Party, and again, might be another reason why the Bengali community has been scapegoated. Because you see, Bangladesh is a strong and consistent advocate for Palestine, an independent and free Palestinian state, and are utterly opposed to the Israeli occupation, to the extent they have a complete ban, both directly and indirectly, on trade with Israel, and do not have any diplomatic ties to Israel. So have they had a say in the matters, in which case? Again, it's completely unbelievable, isn't it, that this is a deciding factor in why specifically this group was targeted. So what has the fallout been then? Massive publicly, and Labour knows it. Labour knows they've screwed up here. They've screwed up so badly that Starmer actually submitted to being interviewed in the middle of a UK general election campaign, as we are in, with ATN Bangla UK, a UK media outlet that broadcasts in Bengali for a Bengali audience here in the UK. So the language barrier thing clearly hasn't been an issue for British Bengalis to inform themselves before going to the polls. Otherwise, why would he have gone down this road? On top of that, Starmer has today put out a tweet, with video footage I might add, saying, "My Labour Party will always be committed to building a Britain where all faith communities are safe and respected." Honestly, who's stupid enough to believe that? The piece of footage, Starmer, after insulting Muslims with the ongoing support he shows for Israel in Gaza, supporting war crimes, insulting Bengalis, scapegoating them, denigrating them. As a nation, they are the third most populous Muslim state on the planet, where 91.1% of the population are Muslim. And so Starmer makes that tweet and attaches footage of himself at a Hindu temple getting a bindi and partaking in the service. Can I assume, therefore, that no local mosque would touch you with a barge pole, then? For the record, just 8% of Bengalis are Hindu, but it stuck out for me like a sore thumb that he appeared either unable or unwilling to appear with Muslims still. Further fallout has come in the form of a poll from YouGov as well, amongst Pakistani and Bangladeshi Brits specifically, where Labour is down 30 points, almost all of it going to the Green Party. More importantly, that data was collated between the 11th and 20th of this month, so before Starmer and Ashworth's appalling attack on Bengali specifically. So how much more damage has been done there since? One British Bengali in the media certainly had an opinion about what Starmer had to say, and that was ITV's Shiab Khan, who tweeted out, "As a British Bangladeshi, I can tell you that many won't forget Starmer's Bangladesh comments and his lack of apology. While the party appears to be on track to head to Downing Street, these issues and the backlash that follows become much bigger when in office." I think he is absolutely right, and I offer my solidarity to him and all others affected by Labour's positioning and appalling rhetoric that they won't apologise for. It was just a plain nasty thing to do, for cynical gain it seems, and they deserve to lose swathes of support both now and once in power. For Starmer himself, though, close to 7% of his constituency vote is Bengali. He might genuinely fear for himself at this point. That, perhaps, is what's prompting him to do what seems to be desperate damage limitation in the last few days. Without that apology, though, without the words, "I'm sorry," crossing his lips, seemingly for the first time, without him for once taking responsibility for himself, none of this means a thing. He doesn't mean it, in my view. When you screw up, you say sorry. We were all brought up to say it. What happened with him? It really is that simple, that easy. Why is he too good for that? He seems completely unable to do so. So treat Labour as the racist endeavour it very much appears to be these days. And for God's sake, take your vote elsewhere. For more on this story, check out this video recommendation here. There is a bit more to go on. And I'll hopefully catch you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.